Thank you for the opportunity to present our results on the prenatal diagnosis of Aicardi syndrome. Laurent just presented a case and Gustavo presented a case yesterday, so you already know that Aicardi syndrome is a severe neurodevelopmental disorder affecting mainly females because X-linked dominant transmission has been postulated, but the exact genetic etiology remains unknown. So genetic will not help you with this diagnosis. Postnatal diagnosis is based on clinical and imaging features with the classical definition of the triad of corpus callosum agenesis, chorioretinal lacunae, and infantile spasm. But we know that Aicardi syndrome has a more complex and pleiotropic spectrum. Around 450 cases has been published, but prenatal features remain fully described. Thus, we present here 4 cases of Aicardi syndrome suspected in prenatal with a postnatal confirmation of the diagnosis. All cases were referred to our reference center for brain anomaly at the morphological scan, mainly the corpus callosum. Advanced neurosonography and MRI identified in all cases interhemispheric cyst associated with partial or complete agenesis of the corpus callosum, with cortical anomaly that we can see here on prenatal ultrasound and the correlation with postnatal MRI and fetology. We can see polymicrogyria and pachygyria, and associated with migration, neuronal migration disorder that we can see on the same picture with subcortical and periventricular heterotopias, and 2 cases presented also mild ventriculum-Galli. Our cases presented also extracerebral anomalies, ocular anomalies. We can see here in a prenatal MRI with the postnatal MRI also microphthalmia, unilateral microphthalmia. And we can also see optic disc coloboma. Here it's a 3-dimensional reconstruction of the fetal retina, where we can see a coloboma and the correlation with pathology. All these fetuses also presented a typical facial dysmorphism with proeminent maxilla, upturned nose, and micrognathia. And supporting features of Aicardi syndrome were also seen. Here we can see a vertebral anomaly on prenatal ultrasound, and another case presented vertebral anomalies on postnatal radiography. The only case we was not terminated exhibited seizure at birth, already suspected in utero, and vascular malformation are classically described in Aicardi syndrome, but we don't observe this malformation. In all our cases presented interhemispheric cyst associated with callosal dysgenesis, with malformation of the cortical development and abnormal migration of the neurons, and a facial dysmorphism. Distinctive chorioretinal lacunae are non-applicable to prenatal diagnosis, but prenatal diagnosis with ultrasound on MRI can identify microphthalmy, coloboma, optic disc or nerve anomaly. And all our cases had also supporting features of Aicardi syndrome. So, in conclusion, Aicardi syndrome should be part of the differential diagnosis in a female fetus with interhemispheric cyst, agenesis of the corpus callosum, migration or cortical disorder, and eye abnormalities. Of course, it's only the first case of our series, and you are welcome to participate and to work with us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your interesting talk. Any question from the audience?
Yes. I have a question.
Yes.
Ah, yeah, okay.
I wondered how many in your series have had whole exome sequencing. Yesterday I presented 3 cases that would have been called Aicardi syndrome, except that the exome sequencing was abnormal, and in each there were X-linked mutations discovered.
Yes, I'm sorry, but for now, on these cases, we only have IRI, CGH, and we don't have exome sequencing.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you.
In fact, the diagnosis will be made, for sure, with confidence, with the ophthalmologic examination after birth. So with typical findings for Aicardi. So it's the only findings which is very pathognomonic for Aicardi syndrome.
Okay. One question more. Okay. Have you any ideas of the literature, your knowledge, if there are cases of cardiac syndrome without associated abnormalities, or is it in every case?
I don't understand the question.
The Aicardi syndrome, is it? You know also some cases that was isolated without any associated abnormalities in sonography or MRI. So it was only isolated?
No, Aicardi syndrome published have all high number of abnormalities, and the infantile form is the classical triad of corpus callosum agenesis with chorioretinal lacunae and infantile spasm, and we can see also supporting features as the vertebral anomalies, the eye abnormalities.
Okay.
Okay. Actually, as many syndromes, you cannot make a prenatal diagnosis of Aicardi. You cannot make a diagnosis because of the definition, and the definition was done by the pediatricians. So it's very difficult to see infantile spasm in the utero. It's very difficult to see a chorioretinal lacuna. It's not described. You can see other changes, but you cannot make a diagnosis. You can suspect it, and afterward try to find if it's true or not, or by pathology or a clinical examination. The exomic studies will not help because there is not any gene that has been identified yet. So there are studies can be conducted in California at UCLA trying to find what is the gene, but until now never found.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for this comment.
Can I say? You are right, Gustavo, but Aicardi himself expanded the definition. He said it is 3, but there are major and minor signs, including the one they cited. And Daniela showed us that even prenatally, CPC, the chorial plexus cyst with agenesis corpus callosum in a female girl, is already the hint. But I agree with Denise. What we do, we think of this, but we do the exome or the panel. If it's negative, then we say we cannot rule out. And this is why patients in general terminate, because of the rather migration disorders than only because of the agenesis and the cyst.
That's why I conclude it should be part of the differential diagnosis, and it's not rule out other causes, of course.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you.